Okay, we will call the meeting to order and we'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to start off with a couple of announcements. The first one is that tomorrow's work session at 1 p.m. has been canceled. We had one agenda presentation that has been postponed. The subcommittee is still working on it, pesticides. And we didn't have anything else because we were only going to have 3 town board members, potentially 2. I'll get to that in a minute. So we didn't want to get into anything too meaty if all 4 of us weren't going to be here. So it was a light agenda to begin with. So that's my first announcement. The second announcement is that Benjamin is not here in person, not feeling well. So he has a sick exemption, which does allow him to vote and participate. We do have a quorum and we have enough to vote. And the other thing is I'm going to be putting out something in the next couple of weeks on a work session about participation, just because we're trying to conform all of our meetings to run the same way, especially when it comes to Zoom. So for the non-public portions, which would be when we get to the public portions, if anyone has comments on the resolutions, you can turn your videos on and be seen. But during the resolution portion, it's just for the town board. So Benjamin is the only one who should have his video on, or any town board member. I always keep mine on. And then when we get to public hearings, you can then again turn your video on to be seen and obviously heard. But I just wanted to, there was some confusion at the CPAC meeting because we were trying to conform. So I want to just get it out there that we're tightening up on our procedures and making the meetings run more efficient. So I guess, Amber, do you have any correspondence for this evening?
I didn't receive any. Okay,
all right, good. 2 things before I open it up to the public with any questions on the resolutions on the final agenda. On the preliminary agenda, we had 2 resolutions that have since come off. One was we took off the Suffolk County Planning Commission to enter an intermunicipal agreement with them. We will discuss that at next week's town board work session before we go to the resolution, just so that it's better explained for people who had some questions about it, including town board members. And then the other one that we took off was the approval of concurrent paid family leave. We have not yet discussed that in a work session. And so we won't be discussing the employees' names for privacy purposes, but the policy itself and the steps for approval we will go over. So that came off. That being said, does anyone from the public have any questions on the resolutions that are on the final agenda? I don't see any screens. I don't see any raised hands. So we will proceed to resolutions. Albert?
Whereas the town of Shelter Island does not have an on-island hospital, and whereas the town of Shelter Island relies on emergency medical services to fill such a void, and whereas the Southampton Hospital Foundation is willing to partner with the town of Shelter Island to provide a paramedic first responder vehicle, affectionately called a fly car, medical supplies, and a certified credentialed paramedic to provide an on-island emergency first aid and advanced life support 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And whereas the financial commitment to fund such a program is $575,000 annually, and the Southampton Hospital Foundation will contribute $143,750 and fuel costs. And whereas the town will contribute $431,250 plus ferrage, and whereas the town board finds this partnership necessary to protect the life, safety, and welfare of our residents and guests. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town supervisor or her designee is authorized to sign any and all documents required to execute a contract in connection with the Southampton Hospital Foundation Fly Car program for the provision of a paramedic first responder vehicle, Fly Car, and a certified credentialed paramedic in order to provide an emergency first aid 24 hours a day, 365 days a year at a cost of $431,250 plus ferriage. So moved.
Second.
Before I call for the vote, Benjamin, could you turn your, can you unmute yourself?
Still muted.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, now we can hear you when you vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Whereas the town of Shelter Island was awarded funds from the New York State Department of Transportation, Section 5310, Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Program, 5310 program, in the amount of $140,300 $140,329. And whereas the 5310 program funds will support operating funds to sustain and expand transportation services provided by the Town Senior Center for the period of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2027. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Shelter Island hereby authorizes the supervisor or her designee to sign any and all documents required to execute a contract with the New York State Department of Transportation for the Section 5310 Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Program. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas Section 90-6.1D of the Shelter Island Town Code authorizes the removal of moorings that have had permits revoked and moorings without permits, and whereas Section 40-5B of the Shelter Island Town Code authorizes the removal of vessels that are a menace to navigation or become unseaworthy or sinks, grounds, or otherwise becomes disabled or incapable of navigation, and whereas Section 128-8C of the Shelter Island Town Code authorizes the removal of vessels anchored in violation of the Shelter Island Town Code, and whereas the Shelter Island Police Department may need to tow, impound, or seize vessels for criminal investigations, accident investigations, or for the violation of any state, county, or local statute that may apply. Now therefore be it resolved that the following impound fees must be paid to the town clerk prior to the release of a mooring or vessel from the Shelter Island Police impound. Mooring has been impounded less than 14 days, $250. Mooring that has been impounded 14 or more days, $500. Watercraft impounded less than 14 days pursuant to Town Code 40-5.1H, $50. Watercraft impounded 14 or more days pursuant to Town Code 40-5.1H, $100. Vessel other than impounded pursuant to Town Code 40-5.1H, $250 plus $25 per business day. And vessel impounded requiring special services, $250 plus $25 per business day, plus expenses incurred. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas requests for proposals were received by the Superintendent of Highways, Commissioner of Public Works until 3 p.m. on the 5th day of January 2024 for precast concrete drainage products, at which time they were opened publicly and read as follows. Suffolk Precast, $8,324.76. And whereas the Superintendent of Highways Commissioner has reviewed such proposal, now therefore be it resolved that said request is hereby awarded to Suffolk Precast. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas resolution sorry. Whereas resolution number 6-2024 designated both the Shelter Island Reporter and Newsday as the official town newspaper for the town of Shelter Island for the year 2024. Whereas the town board finds that having two official newspapers can cause confusion and is fiscally imprudent. And now therefore be it resolved, resolution number 6-2024 is hereby repealed and replaced as follows. The Shelter Island Reporter is the sole official newspaper of the town of Shelter Island for the year of 2024. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I'll be back.
Okay, so
No,
Meg
you're
is
done.
leaving for the next four because they concern WQI monies. But because Ben is here and can vote, we do have a quorum. So whereas Rebecca Smith has applied for a rebate from the town of Shelter Island under Chapter 88 of the Shelter Island Town Code to install a low-nitrogen sanitary system for property located at 3 Veranda Parkway, Shelter Island, New York, and whereas the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board, WQIAB, has reviewed the project and recommended a conditional rebate of up to $16,000 to be awarded, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts the findings of the WQIAB and approves the applicant for a conditional rebate of up to $16,000 in eligible costs upon completion of the project and subject to the applicant's compliance with and completion of all terms and conditions of the conditional rebate agreement. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be given to the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board and the Building Department. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Whereas Mary Page Lang Klaus and James Lang have applied for a rebate from the town of Shelter Island under Chapter 88 of the Shelter Island Town Code to install a low-nitrogen sanitary system for property located at 10 Prospect Avenue, Shelter Island, New York. And whereas the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board has reviewed the project and recommended a conditional rebate of up to $12,000 be awarded now. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts the findings of the WQIAB and approves the applicant for a conditional rebate of up to $12,000 in eligible costs upon completion of the project and subject to the applicant's compliance with and completion of all terms and conditions if the conditional rebate agreement. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be given to the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board and the Building Department. So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas Monique and Suzanne Mitchell have applied for a rebate from the town of Shelter Island under Chapter 88 of the Shelter Island Town Code to install a low-nitrogen sanitary system for property located at 7 South Midway Road, Shelter Island, New York, and whereas the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board has reviewed the project and recommended a conditional rebate of up to $16,000 be awarded, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts the findings of the WQIAB and approves the applicant for a conditional rebate of up to $16,000 in eligible costs upon the completion of the project and subject to the applicant's compliance with and completion of all terms and conditions of the conditional rebate agreement. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be given to the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board and the Building Department. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas Michael Scaraglino has applied for a rebate from the town of Shelter Island under Chapter 88 of the Shelter Island Town Code to install a no-nitrogen sanitary system for property located at 5 Heritage Drive, Shelter Island, New York. And whereas the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board has reviewed the project and recommended a conditional rebate of up to $16,000 be awarded. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby adopts the findings of the WQIAB and approves the applicant for a conditional rebate of up to $16,000 in eligible costs upon completion of the project and subject to the applicant's compliance with and completion of all terms and conditions of the conditional rebate agreement. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be given to the Water Quality Improvement Advisory Board and the Building Department. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ben, you're muted again. Yep. Oh, hold on.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Now you can come back. Thank you. And you're next up.
Oh, okay. All right. Whereas Alice Dupree of 16B South Midway has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install a mooring in Mananac Creek at a location designated as latitude 41.059614 north and longitude 72.0343706 west. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 90-5 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, a public hearing will be held at 6:02 p.m. prevailing time on the 5th day of February 2024 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And you're muted again, Ben.
Keeps coming on. Aye.
Carried, thank you. Whereas Sylvain Pasquad, 10 Terry Drive, has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install mooring in Cockles Harbor at a location designated as latitude 41.07453 degrees north and longitude 72.31558 degrees west, formerly occupied by the Martin Levenstein C-2613 mooring. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 90-5 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, a public hearing will be held at 6:04 p.m. prevailing time on this 5th day of February 2024 in the Shelter Island Town Hall, Shelter Island, New York, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed installation. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Whereas the Superintendent of Highways, Commissioner of Public Works, 34 North Menantic Road, has submitted an application to the Town of Shelter Island for permission to remove existing catwalk and replace bulkhead with new vinyl up to 18 inches higher, construct a 33.5-foot south return and a 16-foot north return, jog 9 feet and extend 75 feet, raise code to new bulkhead, maintenance dredge 25 cubic yards as per DEC permit. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section 53-9 of the Code of the Town of Shelter Island, the town board hereby calls for a public hearing to be held at 6:06 p.m. prevailing time on the 5th day of February 2024 for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or in opposition to the proposed construction. I'm assuming this is Congdon's,
Correct.
Yes.
the town doctor.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
Be resolved that Emily Kraus is hereby appointed to serve as fit manager for the year of 2024 to be paid at a rate of $31.16 per hour. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Be it resolved that Catherine Ryan is hereby appointed to serve as secretary to the Superintendent of Highways and Commissioner of Public Works, retroactive to January 1st, 2024, to be paid as per the 2024 budget. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be it resolved that Michelle Donahue is hereby appointed to serve as the cook for the Senior Citizen Nutrition Program, retroactive to January 1, 2024, for 30 hours per week, to be paid at a rate of $28.85 per hour. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas the term of Peter McCracken as a member of the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board expired on December 31st, 2023, and whereas Mr. McCracken has expressed willingness to continue to serve in said capacity, now therefore be resolved that Mr. Peter McCracken is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the EMS Advisory Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Whereas the term of Peter McCracken as a member of the Community Housing Board expired on December 31st, 2023, and whereas Mr. McCracken has expressed willingness to continue to serve in said capacity, now therefore be it resolved that Mr. Peter McCracken is hereby reappointed to serve as member of the Community Housing Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2027. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Whereas the term of Kathleen Gerard as a member of the Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board will expire on February 2nd, 2024, and whereas Ms. Gerard has expressed willingness to continue to serve in said capacity, now therefore be it resolved that Ms. Kathleen Gerard is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board for a term to expire on February 2nd, 2027. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Whereas the term of Al Laredo as a member of the Waterways Management Advisory Council will expire on February 1st, 2024, and whereas Mr. Laredo has expressed willingness to continue to serve in said capacity, now therefore be it resolved that Mr. Al Laredo is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Waterways Management Advisory Council for a term to expire on February 1st, 2027. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Whereas the term of John Needham as a member of the Ferry Study Group will expire on January 29th, 2024, and whereas Mr. Needham has expressed willingness to continue to serve in said capacity, Now therefore be it resolved that Mr. John Needham is hereby reappointed to serve as member of the Ferry Study Group for a term to expire on January 29th, 2026. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas the term of Matthew Fox as a member of the planning board expired on December 31st, 2023, and whereas Mr. Fox has expressed willingness to continue to serve in said capacity, now therefore be it resolved that Mr. Matthew Fox is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the planning board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2028. So moved.
Second?
Discussion?
Discussion?
I don't want to personalize this, but I certainly don't want to disparage anybody who comes forth to sit on one of our committees or boards. However, I'm always impressed at how much talent people have on Shelter Island that's around us, really. And I really think the planning board needs professional planning experience, professional environmental experience. I mean, how we're an island, we're in the midst of climate change, and we need much environmental expertise as we can get. So I would hope that maybe we could put an ad in the paper for the planning board, just to try to solicit other individuals who bring a professional expertise to the table. That's all. I'll repeat, I don't want to disparage anybody with this, but I think the planning board in particular needs some expertise.
Do you wish to, well, actually, make a motion discussion? Any other discussion?
No, I agree with Albert. He's right. We should cast our net a little wider in the future.
So we have this motion before us. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, we will make a notation of that for the future.
Whereas the term of Mark Ween as a member of the Waterways Management Advisory Council will expire on February 1st, 2024, and whereas Mr. Ween has expressed willingness to continue to serve in said capacity, now therefore be resolved that Mr. Mark Ween is hereby reappointed to serve as a member of the Waterways Management Advisory Council for a term to expire on February 1st, 2027. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Whereas sealed bids on the purchase of number 2 fuel oil for the year 2024 were received by the town clerk's office until 3 p.m. on the 12th day of January 2024, at which time they were publicly opened and read aloud as follows. J.W. Picosi, Inc. For each gallon delivered for the calendar year 2024, the differential will be the sum of 0.549 cents per gallon. Be it resolved that the contract for the purchase of number 2 fuel oil for the calendar year of 2023 is hereby awarded to J.W. Picosi, Inc. for the sum of the differential of 0.459 cents per gallon. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Whereas sealed bids on the purchase of propane for the year 2024 were received by the town clerk's office until 3 p.m. on the 12th day of January 2024, at which time they were publicly opened and read aloud as follows. J.W. Picosi Incorporated, for each gallon delivered for the calendar year 2024, the differential will be the sum of 0.859 cents per gallon. Be it resolved that the contract for the purchase of propane for the calendar year of 2024 is hereby awarded to J.W. Picosi, Inc. for the sum of the differential of 0.859 per gallon. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $6,809 from the A4540.484 ambulance office and miscellaneous account to SCM Products, Inc. for the 2024 annual maintenance contract. So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $937.13 from the A1330.476 tax receiver computer software account to Edmunds GovTech for the iTax web portal maintenance contract term of February 1st, 2024 through January 31st, 2025. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $4,140 from the A1680.476 computer maintenance account to East End Computers LLC for the Sonic Wall subscription. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be resolved that the 2023 general claims numbered 2261 through 2499 and the amount of $296,919.72. 2023 highway claim number 234 through 261 in the amount of $37,569.83. Community Preservation Fund claims numbered 27 through 31 in the amount of $26,871.93 are hereby approved for payment as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval for payment of the same. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Be it resolved that 2024 general claims number 2 through 51 in the amount of $269,201.42. 2024 highway claim number 1 in the amount of $500 are hereby approved for payment as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval for payment of same. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. That concludes the resolution section of the meeting. So we will adjourn that part of the meeting and go reconvene the hearing on proposed local law entitled "A Local Law to Impose a 6-Month Moratorium on the Processing and Approval of Dock Permits by the Town Board." I think because it's reconvening, we don't have to reread the.
Essentially just did.
I know, exactly. Yeah, I got the summary. Bill, would you like to come up and
Thank you. Good evening, town board members.
state your name for the public?
Stephen, Amber, Christina. I'm Bill Garrity, Chairman of the Waterways Management Advisory Council. And thank you for taking the time to hear me this evening. I'm here once again to request that the town board grant our WMAC's proposed dock moratorium. I've been before the town board a few times on this topic, most recently on December 12th, when a hearing was held before the town board. However, at that time, we had not presented our proposal to the Suffolk County Planning Commission. We have since been before the Suffolk County Planning Commission on January 4th, and they were quite receptive and voted unanimously to grant our moratorium. They granted us a 3-month moratorium. We were seeking 6 months. Previously expressed to the town board, WMAC has experienced a great increase in the number of dock applications over the past 5 years, and the vast majority of those applications have sought variances. Therefore, it is essential that we be granted the time to do a thorough examination of the Shelter Island's extensive and diverse shoreline and amend our dock code to reflect the environment we are presented with, and to have the code reflect also what the needs of our residents. Therefore, I request that you vote to approve our moratorium for at least 3 months, if not 6. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just dovetail on this? So Suffolk County Planning Commission relies on staff, professional staff, and staff provides a report anytime there's an application in front of Planning Commission. And there's a couple of statements I want to read from the staff report. One is, staff finds that the proposed request for the moratorium is specific and reasonable and would not restrict all development on any or all parcels within the town. Rather, the proposed moratorium is limited to the acceptance and processing of applications for dock permits, including residential, recreational, and commercial type docks. It is understood that the proposed moratorium temporarily suspends the acceptance and processing of dock applications in an effort to ensure that such docks are designed in a way that they do not create any environmental harm, are located in suitable and safe locations, and do not negatively impact the use and enjoyment of its waters by residents and their guests. So that was their determination, professional staff. Then they also referenced our comprehensive plan update, which in Chapter 8, Parks, Open Space, and Waterways, that there's recommendations to consider the establishment of guidelines for new docks that would examine and consider existing environmental conditions and the appropriateness for new dock locations. So it is in line with the updated comprehensive plan that they're also reviewing on our behalf. So they pointed that out. And lastly, the resolution that was issued, it should be noted again that it was unanimous. And this is a rarity for the Suffolk County Planning Commission regarding moratoriums, and we saw that with the big home moratorium. But it was made crystal clear that there are some members who never vote no matter what for a moratorium, and they relented in this case. It's because Bill Garrity is very persuasive. So I just wanted to put that all into the record. It was, again, Suffolk County Planning Commission has a duty to review certain, as we discussed regarding the IMA. They're limited in their jurisdiction, and it's arguable that we didn't even have to send this to them, but I wanted to be safe because it was a gray area. And it just goes to show that they're fully supportive of this moratorium, and the town board should really take that into consideration.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah,
Um,
persuasive, given the data provided by Christina and Stevens.
Is there anyone, we don't have anyone in the physical audience present other than Bill Garrity. Is there anyone in the Zoom audience who would like to comment?
One question. The Suffolk County Planning Board, were they supportive of the 3-month version or the 6-month version?
Yes, the 3-month. And what we're going to do after this, Ben, is my hope is if we don't have anyone objecting to it, we will close this public hearing. And then at next week's town board work session, we, the town board, will discuss this moratorium and decide what resolution we want to put on for February 5th. But they did say that it was limited to an initial duration of 3 months. And that we should also report back to the Suffolk County Planning Commission at the end of the 3-month period. So
Right.
we will, we'll do that. And I will make sure that you have a copy of this report from the Suffolk County Planning Commission for next week's town board work session.
Thank you.
So it should be stressed that, again, it's initial. So they were receptive to a longer period of time, so long as we come back and show that there's progress being made.
Mhm.
And that all being said, as you're aware, the town board by a supermajority can go ahead and adopt a 6-month anyway. But that's up to the town board, and I wouldn't recommend that in this case, but you do have that ability.
We'll discuss further next week. But is there anyone from the public who wishes to weigh in? Okay, then we will close that public hearing.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Bill.
Right.
Okay, close. Before I reconvene the public hearing on the proposed updated community preservation project plan, I want to just say that our intention is to open the public hearing and then close the public hearing, then take it back to a work session next week to discuss giving this the plan back to the Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board to take a look at it and make any comments and recommendations, as well as to discuss whether or not we, as a town board, wish to peel off the WQI portion of the Community Preservation Fund plan that's in there currently and have the WQIAB work on that as a separate plan in conjunction with this, which kind of makes sense to me. But
Yeah.
we will discuss that. But so that's my plan for this evening. However, it is a public hearing, so if there is anyone in the Zoom audience who wishes to weigh in on this, now is your time to be heard. If we come up with something different than the existing plan, then we will have to renotice it and set a new public hearing, and then hear from the public again on whatever the new draft looks like. So that's the procedure. So anyone from the public? Stephen Jacobs.
Good evening, everyone. I was unable to participate in the December 28th hearing, but I wanted to follow up on an email that I sent the supervisor and her colleagues at the time shortly after this issue was first raised in a work session. I actually don't have the date, unfortunately, of the email, but I did ask that it be included in the record of the December 28th hearing and any subsequent hearing. The gist of it, so far as I think an issue remains, is objecting to the inclusion in criteria for use of CPF money for purchase of property for wellheads. As set forth in the email, which I will not go through to save time, it does not appear to me that that is allowed under the relevant statute 64E. When I raised the concern initially at the work session, one of the members quoted a portion of the statute that did not deal with the relevant money involved here, but dealt with what WQI money could be used for. In any event, for the reasons set forth in the email and in the statute, I do not believe that whether or not land can be used as for pumping or wellheads is allowed or even consistent with the statute. So for that reason, I object to and would oppose the current plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. I found your email. It was dated December 12th, 2023. I will re-forward it to the current town board. So when we discuss this next week, they will have that information in hand. Anyone else? Okay, then I would like to close this hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ben nodding, yes. Okay,
Aye.
thank you. We will reopen the
Excuse me.
meeting to the public. Before I go to public and additional public comments, I just want to say on the agenda, we have listed an executive session to discuss potential acquisition opportunity. We are postponing that executive session till after our work session on Tuesday. There's additional information that needs to be gathered before we can discuss that. So just to let everybody know. So is there anyone from the public who would like to make any comments? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.